What if you could help others to find the power to heal themselves, physically, emotionally, and spiritually?
When I started teaching my classes, it was in 2002, and I was just doing past life regressions and contacting the subconscious part. But then as the time went on and we found how powerful this was and what we could do with it, a lot of the students began saying, you know, advanced past life regression doesn't really tell what it's all about. This is so much more than that. We think you should change the name. So it was a few years ago, we decided to change the name to Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique.
Help other people to speak to their higher selves. You can. Dolores Cannon has taught thousands of people from across the world how to use QHHT. Now you can learn her method by going directly to themoreshow.com/QHHT. And don't forget to mention the discount coupon More Talks. Joining me now is hypnotherapist Christine Gould. Now, it was a result of being diagnosed with ME in the late 1980s that Christine trained to become a Reiki practitioner. This led Christine to undertake a 5-year apprenticeship to teach and involve learning about the metaphysical causation of illness, basically understanding the unresolved issues that manifest with a whole range of symptoms which could prevent us from leading a fulfilling and wholesome life. And now we'll be discussing the power of the mind and how we live the life that we want. So, Christina, the power of the mind, I mean, it's so important, isn't it?
Absolutely. And everything begins as a thought before we actually use the words and manifest these. And everything in the studio, everything in everyone's home began as a thought in someone's mind before it actually became reality. So it's the quality of our thoughts that are very important.
Yes, and when we think very negatively, it's difficult to stop playing that tape, isn't it?
Absolutely. And a lot of people don't realize that we do have choice. And so with all the work that I do, it is all about making them aware that we do have a choice. And therefore, yes, it's okay to think the worst possible outcome and have those negative thoughts. And then have a look at the most favorable outcome and you can choose. And when you realize that you've got choice, it's up to you whether you would like to wallow or whether or not you would prefer to maybe get help and look to the alternatives.
Well, this is where your work comes in as a hypnotherapist.
Yeah.
You're healing a lot of people. You're helping a lot of people out with their problems. So just tell us a bit about the work you do.
Okay. Well, it was interesting that you used the phrase that I heal a lot of people. I actually don't, because I facilitate change on behalf of others. So everybody has their own answers within. And things need to get as bad as they need to in order that they will seek help. And it's fine to get medication. It's a temporary solution. However, it doesn't address the underlying issue. And the underlying issue is generally an emotion that is triggered in the current, and therefore it will manifest as those ongoing systems and symptoms. And it's a bit like a CD playing over and over again. Now, when something is not working well for us, we will often, become so overwhelmed that we don't know what to do. And when people can understand that we are programmed according to our upbringing, our beliefs, our genetics, but more so from our perceptions, and therefore those programs running in our mind at the back of the head, it's called the subconscious mind, are set up by us.
Okay, so, all right, we have to be very careful what we think. We have to be careful when we're in that situation, when things aren't working out, to not look at the negativity of it all, but to see that maybe it's for a greater reason.
Well, that's lovely, because when we can look to the bigger picture and see what, we have futuristically there for us, then we know that that potential is there. Now, all healing comes from within, so I don't heal anyone. And every single person has their own answers within. So it's my role to act as a facilitator.
And to access those answers.
Absolutely.
So what are some of the sort of common problems that people come to you with?
Okay, well, one of the most problematic things in society is depression, anxiety, feeling stressed, finding it difficult to cope. And in our current climate, yes, we're all, under duress with different things. And so people will come to me and they'll say, I really can't see any favourable outcome so far. And once they understand that they can update those files running inside their subconscious mind at the back of the head, therefore they reclaim their power and control, they take charge of their life and can use their logic and common sense of today.
Okay, so when someone's, in your practice and you're giving them the hypnotherapy, how's that work, just briefly?
Okay. Well, basically, we introduce people to that natural state of hypnosis, which is an altered state of consciousness, through relaxation exercises. And once they're in that nice daydreamy state, which is much how you feel when you first wake up in the morning, you can hear things going on in the background, but it's not that clear. That's when the client can gain access to that computer part of their mind. And with my help, I enable them to update those files. So it's a bit like being a computer operator.
I mean, how many sessions does somebody need to sort of get over a problem?
Well, a lot depends on the client. However, I generally say that I work with people between 3 and 6 sessions. And in reality, it's usually 3, possibly 4.
Okay. So can this be to stop smoking as well?
Absolutely. Nobody was born with a cigarette in their mouth.
Because obviously there'll be people watching this now with a lot of New Year's resolutions.
Exactly.
And, stop smoking, weight loss, all the sort of common ones that you get. Why don't we never keep to our goals though?
Well, a lot of people do make these New Year's resolutions and they say that they're going to, as you say, stop smoking. Now, usually it's on Blue Monday, which is the 3rd Monday in January, that people revert back to type. And everybody thinks, oh gosh, I'm a failure. Then that's reinforced by their family and friends who say, oh yes, we've known that you've attempted this before. It wasn't successful then, so we knew it wouldn't be successful now. Well, in reality, because we are programmed and those programs running inside the subconscious mind kick in and they overtake and they drive us, if you like, to revert back to type. And when people can realize that they're not at fault, it's just that they're well programmed, they can stop beating themselves up and know that if they come to somebody like myself, an advanced hypnotherapist and HypnoHealer, then we can address those issues.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of us seem to sort of live in the yesterday, not in the now. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? It's we take on our problems from that we've had previously, and they seem to affect us, and we're constantly churning them over in this present moment. Where really, we have to forgive our past, don't we?
Well, we could forgive our past. However, we are the result, we're the combination, you and I, of our past experiences, our genetics, our DNA. And so we have got inherent traits that are running within us. Now, it's only when things become a problem that we would then seek to find out how to resolve those. So with a lot of the work that I do as a hypnotherapist, as a Reiki channel, as a unity consciousness therapy practitioner, then we can work at the DNA level, we can work with the emotions, and if you like, release those, and therefore not be overburdened.
You're on a journey right now, a destination where you are headed full of adventure. And all around you are clues pointing you in the direction of your higher purpose and dreams. The signs and synchronicities can be seen. Whilst on a trip, at your local coffee shop, within your social networks. The road to your success and happiness is scattered throughout the pictures of our days. Simply make the connection, that's all. Channeling.com is your source for highly regarded spiritual readers who can direct you on your journey. Use the code TMS1 to receive a discount on your first reading.
You've mentioned there Reiki Healing as well. How does that fit into your work?
Well, Reiki is a fantastic modality because primarily it is for oneself. It's an energy renewal technique. And so you can use it for yourself if you do the basic training. You can use it with animals, plants, other people that you know. And at the advanced level, you can actually learn 3 basic symbols so that you can channel the energy over distance. You can also double the potency and the flow of the energy, and also establish dialogue with the different aspects of the mind. And in that way, facilitate change by asking relevant questions. And it will work effectively if I was to Reiki you in person, or if you happen to be on the other side of the world. The energy, because there's no time delay, will reach at the same moment in the same way that when you ring somebody up, you establish that direct connection.
So that direct connection that you've mentioned there, is that a direct connection with what you would call the higher self?
Well, we are purely the channel. So we are being used as a conduit to actually convey the energy similar to a telephone. So we don't actually participate in the electrical and all the other ramifications for telecommunications. And this is all done on an energetic level.
We've mentioned this as well, that the whole thing about, tuning to our goals, trying to achieve our goals. And do you think one of the problems is why people suffer from issues of depression and other sort of self-trust issues, whatever it may be, is because we're not in tune with what we're supposed to be doing?
Well, many people don't really know what they want from life, and we're on this sort of treadmill, and we are just carrying out the functions on a daily basis. When we can ascertain what it is we really want in life, then anything is available and everything is possible. And it's only emotions within us that prevent us from achieving the desired outcome. So if genetically in your family line, there has been a theme of I don't deserve or I'm not enough, then that can override your abilities to attract to you and manifest your heart's desires.
But why would we have these feelings of, I'm not worth it? Is it down to that we don't love ourselves?
No, not at all. It's that programming. And many of the programs that we've got running within don't belong, if you like, to us because they can be inherent. And with some of the energy work that I've done, especially the Access Energy for Transformation, which Gary Douglas oversees, he would say that 98% of the thoughts that run through us don't belong to us.
And to inherit those problems, you've got to ask yourself, well, where does that come from?
Exactly. Well? So with the work that I do, especially with the Unity Consciousness techniques, we can access those emotions, and through the techniques and the protocols, then they can, if you like, dissolve, they're resolved, and we are able to live in the moment without any negative feelings when we reflect back on those instances.
Okay. But do you think for the audience, and someone suffering from a problem one of the problems that we've mentioned, do you think it's a case just right now, just to sit there in a bit of quiet space and just to sort of reflect and just to give some time back to yourself?
Okay, what anybody can do, if you're not feeling 100%, recall a time in your life where you did feel good. And this is where, especially working with children, I have to use lots of variations on word semantics. So think of a time where you had good feelings in the body, you were feeling happy, on top of the world. Now that could have been a special treat, it could be falling in love, it could be achieving something. And, passing your driving test, for example, those feelings of success. Now, if you can think and reflect back on a time where you had the good feelings, guess what? They'll generate in the body. So sit there and just bask in the positive. And all the cells start talking to one another. And then you can, if you like, imagine a dial and turn up those feelings with the next breath you take and make them as strong as you can. As you reflect on that situation where you were having a good time, make the picture bright and vivid and bold. And then as you make the feelings and the emotions as strong as possible, just close up your right hand. And then you've anchored those lovely feelings. And this is what I do with all the children if they're doing Christmas plays, for example, or they're having to stand up and read something out loud. Be able to stimulate a positive response in the body, and therefore you're likely to be calm and convey the words in the way that you'd like to.
But what about when obviously those feelings have gone and
Yes.
you're then back into the problem again when it comes back on, you're back into that negativity again. How do you switch that off again?
Okay. Well, you can always take that deep breath, close up the right hand, and it will generate the good feelings in the body.
Okay.
And the more you practice, then the more effective it works. So there are lots of techniques, very simple techniques that people can use for themselves. And, just the colours we wear, the colours we have in our environment can affect how we feel. Being outside in nature every day is something very simple to do. But how many people actually go out every day? Having the windows open, allowing air to flow through our property.
Just fresh air,
Fresh
to make
air.
a difference, just to make us feel that bit better,
Yeah.
And you mentioned there that you work with kids as well. I mean, that's an interesting aspect of your work. Hypnotherapy with children, is that right?
Absolutely.
Wow.
So my background's in education, working with youngsters from reception right through to secondary. And having taught in mainstream for many years, I then specialised working with children with emotional and learning problems. And so I fortunately can establish a good rapport with these youngsters. And some of them, have got lots of challenging things happening in their lives. So they come along and see me. Their parents naturally sit in because they're minors. And we're able to use the techniques for hypnotherapy in order that they can overcome their problems. And with youngsters, I always work on study skills.
Yeah.
Because if they're struggling with a specific subject, we may as well work on that so that it's no longer a problem. And exam technique is something else that I always incorporate because they'll always have tests, they'll always have exams. And, these skills they can use then for the rest of their lives.
Well, where were you when I was younger? That's what I want to know. Because school wasn't always a favourable time for myself. So, I can really appreciate what you're saying there. And, what would be your sort of one hope for this year, would you say?
Well, for people to be able to live in the moment and to take personal responsibility. Because, life is an adventure and it's not a dress rehearsal.
So you would say that would make a one big difference just for now is to live in the moment.
Live in the moment.
And that means being aware, being present, and just taking that breath that sometimes to just tune yourself back in.
Yeah. Being grounded and appreciative because we take such a lot for granted. There's a TV show where people are deprived from their home comforts. So they say, when I come out of the jungle, then I will have an appreciation for, hot water that comes out of a tap. Well, that's my greatest luxury in life, and aware of your friendships, aware of what we have in our society, because there's such an abundance. And we can make those choices.
And it's a beautiful world, isn't it, as well?
Fantastic.
Just need to open your eyes sometimes.
Yeah. And nature. I mean, how many people stop and look at all the flowers every day?
Yeah.
And the trees, the animals, and they all convey so much to us.
Of course.
And walking in the park is a lovely experience to have.
Well, Christine, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.